Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We're back with another In Context. Today is March 22nd. We need to visit the war. It's been 2 weeks since we last talked about it. A lot of things have gone back and forth. I'd like to look at, has U.S. goals changed? Because Trump is very erratic. I'm confused as to, one day he says, okay, it looks like the concessions are coming. Maybe we're going to wind it down. Then to yesterday, he's now threatening to escalate it. It's very ping pong. Of course, I think I see Israel's role in this. I don't think that has changed. But I'd like to also talk about how the Arab Zionists are responding. Their response is blowing my mind. And of course, what does this mean to us as Muslims?
So first, let's take Trump out because that adds a lot of noise and confusion. You have to be careful about interpreting Trump. He is vulgar, he is ugly, he is profane, he's not stupid. When Trump kept saying over the last 2 weeks, we're about to win, we're about to win, we're about to win, and we're about to end this, he was lying. And he was lying because he wanted to calm down the markets, both the oil markets and the stock markets. So he keeps selling them the hope of ending this soon. So when he says we are about to win, don't believe him because he has that always inside. The same applies to all his minions and sycophants. Okay? Like that stupid fool he has as Treasury Secretary. He was out today saying complete stupid nonsense like you have to escalate to de-escalate, which is complete nonsense like his previous Rumsfeld who said, who talked about creative chaos and all kinds of nonsense like that. These are meaningless terms. All wars end up by escalation, de-escalation. So saying you have to escalate to de-escalate is nonsense, meaning you have to go to war in order to end it. That nonsense aside, there is a plan. Trump was going after delusions of grandeur, another Venezuela. Turned out that he couldn't get another Venezuela. So he's going for the next best thing. Like any good thief, he has maximalist goals, but he has realistic, practical goals as well. If the maximalist goals don't work, he falls back on the practical goals. The practical goals were literally stated today by Lindsey Graham, were stated earlier, a couple of days ago, by the editorial board of the Washington Post. We don't have to have peace with Iran. We can just keep them in a box. That, in my opinion, is also not the goal. This is the negotiating stance. Just like Iran's negotiating stance of, we're not interested in negotiations. These are negotiating stance. Iran, regardless of everything, is a nation state. It figures that it cannot wither the US. It cannot defeat the US. But it can harm the US enough to get the US to realize that you can't keep doing this every day. So that's what they're after. I think they have achieved that. So as I was saying last time, this ends either by Iran luckily delivering a significant hit that forces Trump to end this, or by Trump getting bored. And in this case, what it would mean is he gets eventually the message that actually, yes, you can harm them, but they can harm you. And that you don't want to have. So he gets the message that, well, we have to come up with some accommodation. The accommodation is going to look like cutting Iran down to size, meaning it's harmed, significantly harmed. It will take a lot of time to recover. And in the process, the US can keep it in a box. On the other hand, the US will have to guarantee that it's not going to go back to this. How are these guarantees going to come? I'm not sure. It might actually involve compensation to Iran. And actually, the US has started doing that. So the US has removed sanctions on Iranian oil, which is a wonder. So the US is actually funding the war, its enemy in the war. Now, their joker of Treasury Secretary is making all kinds of justifications for this, but the bottom line is obvious. They are funding their enemy in war. That tells you that strategically, the US is not in a good place. Okay? Meaning they didn't expect that to get bogged down. That's good news for humanity, good unadulterated news for humanity. The evil empire has hit a hard rock that it didn't expect, because the rock actually was seeking accommodation with the US. And it is US aggression that ended up by hitting its head on that rock. Great. Okay. So that takes us out of the noise coming out of the US. Then there is noise coming out of the Arab regimes. The Arab regimes are creating this fiction. Well, with the help of the US, we are not part of this war. We have promised that we are not going to allow the US to use our airspace or the bases they have in our lands to attack Iran. So why is Iran attacking us? The problem with this is it's sick. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be intelligence type. Just look at the maps, the radar maps, the flight maps. US attacks are going through Jordanian and Saudi airspace. So this is nonsense. The US actually brags about its new field artillery that it's using to bomb Iran. This field artillery has been videoed being used in Bahrain. And it's quite likely that it's also being used in Kuwait and Iraq. The air defense system that defends Israel is operating, and also the US is operating out of all of these bases that claim not to be part of the war. This is complete nonsense. But beyond this, what we are discovering is the Arab world now is back in a worse position than it was after World War I and the collapse of the Islamic State. We have a system of protectorates under the US. And what the Iranian government is saying, well, we don't buy this fiction and nonsense that you guys are neutral in this. You are American protectorates. So if we cannot hit the US in retaliation for it hitting us, we're going to hit its protectorates because that hits it politically. And that is understandable. That is how, the international system works. The US claims to protect the Arab protectorates. Okay, fine. Then we're going to show that the US protection is worthless and we're going to hit it where it hurts. That's understandable. So they're coming out and feigning sadness and offense at Iran attacking them is not just hypocritical, it's sick. It's alive. What is even worse is, Trump can afford to go crazy. So when Trump, yesterday goes berserk and threatens to attack the Iranian electricity grid, he is actually being adventurous with others' lives. The Iranians have said, and actually within 5 minutes of his threat, responded by saying, okay, we're going to attack all power grids, all oil fields, all data centers, and all desalination plants in the Gulf. Of course, the international media is very worried about their precious data centers for Microsoft or the oil because they use the oil. Nobody cares about desalination plants. But that's the scariest thing. Iran has natural water resources. They have been having a drought, but they have natural water resources, more or less. So if Trump bombs every last power station in Iran, there will still be life. There will still be water. And there is solar power, and there is wind power, and there is hydropower. So life won't end in Iran. But if Iran were to hit the desalination plants on the Arab coast of the Gulf, life will cease to exist. And none of the rats who pretend to be governors of the Arab Gulf even peeps about it. The Zionist Shakid, has enough brains to come out and disown Trump's attack on or threat to attack Iran by saying, well, we are all for attacking and getting rid of Islam, but not for getting rid of Iran. And this is the infrastructure of Iran. So don't attack the electricity grid. Please, uncle. At least he's disowning it. The other guys are nothing. And the guy is threatening the existence of their estates. And nothing. Not a peep. Not just that. Yesterday, the Saudi rat comes out saying that we're going to take revenge on Iran bombing us by even getting more into the quagmire by opening even more air bases for the US to bomb from them Iran. Lunatics. So Trump yesterday actually was going lunatic. He got to the point of saying, well, actually we got rid of our biggest enemy, Iran. The next biggest enemy is the Democratic Party. If I were American, I would have a heart attack. I'm not an American. I'm a human being. I don't believe in the evil empire. So I'm very happy by the Trump side of this picture. But it's really scary where the Muslim world is. We are a system of protectorates. From the Pakistani protectorate that claims to have anything to do with Islam, while bombing Afghanistan on the night of Eid and killing 400 people sitting to break their fast. This is just a gang of British colonial civil servants who used Islam to create their own state because they didn't want to be squashed by the Hindu civil servants. And they sell Islam. They sell Islam and Pakistan, Zindabad, and all that nonsense to the population that is plagued by them. Just like the Arab rats say, well, we are protecting ourselves from Iran. Actually, we didn't attack Iran. We just, aided and abetted the attack. In fact, Mohammed Salman was lobbying the US for the last several weeks in conjunction with Netanyahu to attack. He sent his own brother, Khalid Salman, to Washington to say, well, if you don't attack Iran, you're going to lose face. Attack, attack, attack. And the end result is destruction all over the place because we have Zionists in charge. The non-Zionist agents, Qatar, the best they could do is saying, well, actually, both sides are bad. So Israel is wrong by attacking the Iranian gas field, and Iran is wrong by attacking our gas field. Israel attacked the Iranian side of the same gas field that Iran attacked on Qatar's side. That is the best of them, who admits that, well, actually, both sides are bad. But none of them would point the finger at the right culprit, the US. The culprit is not Israel, it's the US. Israel is just a rabid dog for the US. Trump says it, keeps saying it, and people don't listen to him. If I wanted, I can shut them down. And yes, that's true. If he wants, he can shut them down. But they say, no, Israel is driving the US. Netanyahu tells them, well, nobody drives Trump. That's true. You can entice him. You can delude him with images of another Venezuela, and he would follow that. So yeah, you can dangle stuff to him and we'll jump at it. True. And that's what Israel did. But he did that. So there is a master and there is, a subcontractor. You go after the subcontractor and leave the master. Fine. The least these guys can say, well, we need to exist. And you are guys threatening our existence. Shut this nonsense down. And they are not doing it. And there are people foolish enough to buy into their nonsense. And they repeat after Al Jazeera, oh, Iran fell into Israel trap by attacking the Arab Gulf when Israel attacks it. So what do you expect them to do? That's this nonsense. The fact that some talking head sits in front of you and speaks in eloquent Arabic or English or whatever and says stuff doesn't mean we need to have our own brains and we need to think and we need to put things in context.
Okay, the question now becomes, aside from putting it in context, what can we do? So I think the answer is obvious. We need to call these people out every time we speak, because the internet is flooded with bots or human beings that are falling for this sympathy that they're trying to promote.
So let's have no mistake. The Iranian regime is a nation state. It is not interested in the Ummah as a state. There might be individuals who believe that on an individual level. But when they act as state officials, this is a nation state that has a Machiavellian approach to politics. It is interested in survival as a nation state. And actually what it's looking for is the US acceptance of it as a part of the nation state, the colonial nation state system. Let's be very clear about that. However, what is also clear is the US miscalculated the fact that Iran was always pulling its punches before. Iran was always pulling its punches before because it was hoping that it will convince the US through its forbearance to accept it as a nation state. After the last run in June, it appears that the regime in Iran got the message after just 20 years of US abuse. Just 20 years. The US has been doing this since 2005. They figured out that actually it doesn't seem that they are going to accept us. So our way out is to escalate without limits, because their continuous weak point before that was they always escalated up to a point that does not disturb the US. This time around, the US has been strategically exposed and is in a weak spot because Iran is not playing by that old playbook. They are not responding within the accepted limits of the quote-unquote game. They are responding beyond the accepted limits. That includes attacking US bases, that includes attacking the Gulf, that includes actually using serious weapons to cause serious harm in Israel. And that includes actually disrupting shipping through the Hormuz Strait rather than threatening it without doing it. So strategically, the US is in a bad spot because they didn't calculate, they didn't figure that, well, actually, those are human beings. They are not cockroaches like the colonial mind believes. The fact they have been forbearing before is because they were hoping for a payback. Because we have not given it, we can expect them not to forbear. They didn't calculate that. And as a result, they maintained their old posture, which is, well, we protect Israel and to the hell with everybody, including our own bases. So as a result, they are completely exposed. And they don't have an effective way to stop Iran from actually escalating beyond the limits they expected or they played with before. That's the dynamic we're seeing.
Yes, so this is a lot different than what happened in the early 2000s for Iraq, where in a couple of days it was done, right? This one is taking more time. I don't think the US expected that probably, but I do say that what's happening in Israel has shaking them a bit, but I don't think. I mean, I'm just pretty shocked about the Gulf, like going way backwards, like past 100 years, even worse, and not even being concerned with the lives of this surviving tomorrow, like what's taking place, and not even being addressed as a threat. It's like it completely pushed under the rug.
So, the exception of the regime in Qatar and in Oman, actually, the others are in a craze, just like Trump. They seem to be they almost seem to be on drugs. They are so crazed with delusions of grandeur that they don't realize that they are actually playing with the existence of their estates. Now, Oman, with the obvious, Oman is just, the English with a turban. If anybody hasn't gotten the note, the Guardian explicitly exposed it that the Omani mediation was actually English mediation. So while a guy with a turban was in the front, his handler was sitting in the back in the embassy in Geneva. Anyway, and Qatar, which started all of this new protectorate business back in the mid-90s, these are the only ones who are cringing because they see that the game they have been playing, being clients or facilitators for colonialism and mediating between colonialism and the local population to get a big cut out of this, is running dangerously, close to the wind. Okay, and there is some voices you can hear them saying this is not good. We didn't sign for that, even though if they don't say it in Arabic and they don't say it plainly, you could see it in English and in undertones. We didn't sign up for this. Okay, now whether that would mean anything, actually, I buy it that Trump is escalating because there is some truth to the nonsense by the Treasury lunatic sycophant. Trump is escalating and going for essentially the emergency stop because he thinks that this is going out of hand. So he went with this threat of we're going to bomb the place to ground right after Iran bombed Israel and managed to actually defeat the anti-missile system twice in a night. And I think that transcribed to him that the images do not look good. So you have to get this done. So what he's doing is he is escalating to bring this to a head, either by getting Iran to knuckle down, which didn't work, or by getting others to interfere and say, well, this could blow up the whole world, let's do something else. And then he magnanimously does something else. Problem with this is, as people keep saying, you can start the war, but you can't necessarily end it because the nature of human interactions is they're unpredictable. And right now, Iran is not playing by the rules of the colonial game, and that means not necessarily guaranteed. So I wouldn't guarantee that this comes to a peaceful resolution, like Trump seems to be angling. He can completely go crazy and bomb the electricity. The Iranians would right away bomb the desalination plants, and it's quite easy. They are quite exposed. By definition, desalination plants have to sit on the Gulf because they need water. So it won't be very hard to damage them. And whoops, there is nothing.
Which brings me to my initial statement when I started the podcast. That's what's blown my mind. They don't see that, personally, how can business ever go back there? Maybe 5 years from now, if everything settles down, even let's say hypothetically, I snap my fingers and tomorrow everything's back to quote unquote peace. But but American money is like, oh, we're not going to go back there. I listen to the podcast all the time. Corporations are like, well, we'll just pull our resources and go somewhere else for now. And for now, it's a question mark.
The world needs oil. The message of this is all this rubbish about, and oil is going to be obsolete. The world needs oil. The threat of a significant reduction in oil production is bringing the whole world to stop. All of these new resources are doing is expanding the energy supply. But the needs of the world for energy surpass anything you can do. Okay, so no, business will be there. However, what kind of business is going to be there is a different game. Whether Oracle will have offices all over the place, whether you will have data centers or not, that's a different game. But oil is going to be there, and it's going to come back much sooner than the current projections because the world needs it. There is no way around that. Oil and gas. So, but that's as far as the West is concerned. There is a local population, and you're bombing their life to smithereen. And the jokers who claim to be in charge and to be taking care of their affairs, telling them you are just infantiles, the royal family knows, you have to just shut up and let us do our thing, are burning the place down in stupid games. They are just not just clients, they are stupid, ugly, nasty clients, dangerous clients. They're not even rational clients. You sell Allah, His Messenger, and your mother because you want to make money, not because you want to burn the place down. These are neurons.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Jazakallah khair.